Alright, it's been like a year and a half or so since I made my last vid on how to center snorkel those. A lot's changed with that, but I'll do another video on that. This video is going to be how I ran my snorkel on the 300. There's tons of videos out there on how to do it, but I haven't really seen anyone do it this way, or at least the way that I've run my setup anyways. Okay, so on the air box on the intake there, that's a little 1.25 inch piece that fits perfect into the air box, so you don't have to mess with anything. You don't have to cut holes in your air box or any of that dumb stuff. It goes 1.25 inch to a little, like a upsize 1.25 to 1.5 inch coupler, and then you run a street 45 so that this piece here is biting on the lip of the street 45, and then into another street 45, and then into your straight piece here that runs across beside the engine. I didn't heat tape it or anything. I don't find that it gets that hot sitting there. It's far enough from the engine I can fit my fingers between it and all that. And then that goes to another 45 to a coupler. And on this side here, that coupler goes into a straight piece to a 90 that sits just above the shock tower. The reason I put that coupler in there is so that between this coupler and that one, I can take this whole center section out if I need to do anything in here, which is super handy. It's just 2 little straps, undo it, pull it out. And then up here, it goes a 90 straight piece. See if I can get a better angle of that. Little straight piece there into another 90, and then up through the plastic and into the rest of the snorkel. And then you can do whatever you want here. There's a lot of different ways you can do that. Some people like to try and tuck it up under the tank so you can't see it. I don't care about any of that. I just painted it blue so it matches the rest of the snorkel, and I think it looks pretty good. But I made this little bracket too to stop it from shaking around so much. That was a handy thing, because before it'd just flop around anytime you hit a bump. So that's just a little metal piece welded to a flat piece bent straight up with some tabs welded on it, and then welded to another piece riveted, U-bolt, done. And then for the vent lines, I only ran 2. That's why I haven't seen anyone really do it this way. Everyone's got like 6 vent lines coming up. But this one here is the carburetor, the carb breather, and then this one here is the gas tank breather. The gas tank for the breather, I did the way that I saw a Mud Puppy make a video on. It's the best way I've seen to do it, rather than like put a bung on the tank or anything like that. This seems to work pretty well. It's totally sealed, which is nice. So if you want to find out a good way to do that, go watch Mud Puppy's video. He did it best, I think, and explained it the best. So I'm not going to bother with that. And then the carb vent just comes right down underneath, and there's a little nipple right. I'm going to point to it there, kind of right there. That little nipple right there. That's what you want to have a vent to. And I did what everyone sort of suggested on the Honda 300 Club. I just ran my carb drain, which is this line here. It's the only nipple on the bottom of the carb. You'll find that. Can't really show you because everything's in the way, I don't think. Oh, yeah, I can. Right there. So it's just on the other side of the bowl primer. And then just ran 2 check valves in line there. 2 one-way check valves to keep the water out. And other than that, I have my crankcase breather with a couple loops in it, and then ran up into the air box, which is the best way to do it, rather than running it up to the top of the snorkel. I find that kind of to be a dumb way to do it, because if you dip your snorkel in water, or if something gets in it for any reason, dirt, anything, it's gonna wind up in your motor eventually. And especially water, like instantly you have water in your oil. It's pretty dumb. This way it just has to fill up your whole air box before it can even think about getting into your crank, which is a huge bonus. You'll hopefully have it long shut off before that happens, or figure out you have a leak. So essentially, because I put it up a little higher than my air intake for the engine should, even if I never notice that it's got water filling up the air box, the engine should shut itself off before I even get water really realistically into the crank, especially with these flaps, I find sometimes they'll help keep a little bit of water out as well. So that's a handy way to do it. Other way to do it would be to put a little like oil filter on the end of it. I've seen some people do that in videos, which looks good, but I haven't tried that one yet. The rear end, I haven't ran a vent to because it's just packed full of grease right now. It was blown up and destroyed when I got it. The ring gear and the axle the splines were completely gone on both of them. Excuse me. And so I just welded it together and packed it full of grease, and it's been working fine since. So we'll see how long it lasts. I have another one on the shelf that's all brand new seals and bearings and everything. It's good to go for when this one fails. I think that's pretty much all I had to do to snorkel it. Oh, actually, no, it's not. I also, on the T-case and the front diff, you can see where the line comes in. There's the fitting there on the top of the diff and the fitting on the top of the T-case. And I just ran them into their own individual bellows, which seems to be working pretty good. So they haven't pulled any water in through the seals or anything. So that's why I only have to have 2 vent lines, is because I ran the crank to the airbox. The gas tank and carb vents are up to the snorkel, and these 2 are bellowed, and the rear diff has got no vent because it's grease packed. So I don't have any brakes, so I don't have to worry about venting the drum brakes. There's no point in having those once you ride mud or water anyways. I don't see them lasting. And then if I do the disc brake conversion of this thing over the winter, then I won't need vents for that at all, because it's disc brakes, you don't need to. Another thing I forgot to mention is you need to RTV all the way around that seal and this seal. They're old, they're like 30-year-old bikes. The seals are probably not going to be good on them. That's just extra precaution. That's a must. So, and then on the seal here, I just dielectric greased it all for now. It seemed to hold up quite fine. The only water in there was leaking out of the snorkel, so I have a leak in the snorkel somewhere. So I'm going to go through and find out where that is and seal it, but it's like a really minor leak. It just barely drips in, so I'm not overly worried about it. But yeah, so I might get the OMC gasket for that. It's probably a good idea, or RTV it and then squish it on. But for now, it's working pretty good. I had no water leaking through, even without any seal in there, just the dielectric grease. So that's an option too if you're worried about it.